Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD Starcraft and I'm coming back at you guys with more Starcraft 2 broadcasts. I am finally back from Australia and I had an excellent time, by the way, guys. I am so sorry though that I wasn't able to upload any videos for you guys while I was out there. I ended up being a lot more busy than I thought I was going to be. I was casting for three days straight and also rehearsing for the event, and then afterwards I was so exhausted. But even if I had been able to cast, I found out towards the end of this day that the internet in Australia is actually as bad as everybody says it is. It is quite terrible. I'm not trying to bag on all the Aussies down there. You guys are amazing. You guys are so hospitable, so nice. But the internet out there was so bad, and I had to pay like $100 for 100 megabytes of internet, and after that, like, it will actually cap you and won't let you use the internet anymore. So I actually used my limit and I wasn't able to make any videos even if I wanted to. So I really do apologize, but coming back here, I have a great treat for you guys. So hopefully make it up a little bit and you know, make your day a little bit greater with some StarCraft 2 action. I'm going to be doing Nerchio versus MC here, which is two of the better players in today's StarCraft 2 world. Nerchio, actually, many consider to be the top, I would say, like top 3 Zerg right now out of Europe. And MC, of course, playing in the last TSL finals against Seed. And by now, most people already know that he did lose. So he is the runner-up champion, still a force in his own right. And, you know, this is going to be an absolutely amazing Zerg versus Protoss. Best of 5, by the way, so first to 3 will get the win. And this is from Home Story Cup, replays released about a week ago, when I was actually out in Australia. By the way, I'm just going to go ahead and take this moment to talk more about the event. The Blizzard WCS Championship and the Oceania Finals were so fun, so amazing. I casted one of the best Zerg versus Terran games that I have ever seen. If you guys get a chance, you should all definitely check it out. It was between Light and, oh god, I already forgot who. I think it was Pig, I want to say. No, it was not Pig. It was Light and... dang, I already forgot who it was, but I will make a comment in this video, like an annotation or something, just to let you guys know. And you guys should definitely try to Google it. It is on their Twitch TV account. And I'll see if I can't upload the VOD up to my YouTube channel as well. We'll see if that works out, because it is such an amazing game. One of the best Zerg vs. Terrans that I have ever seen. And I'm not even exaggerating right now. It was actually that amazing. So that's that. And you guys out there in Australia, man, you guys are so cool, so awesome. I had no idea how just utterly cool you guys are. Besides the internet, I would love to live out there if I could. So that's that, and getting back to this game now, we will see what happens. It is going to be MC versus Nerchio, and MC has already taken the liberty to go ahead and block the natural with the pylon, which is very common nowadays. You'll see that happen all the time. It looks like Nerchio sent out 4 Zerglings, though, so he's going to go ahead and break that down and secure the natural expansion, but there is a probe down here at the 3rd. It's very unlikely, though, that MC is going to try to block the 3rd hatchery as well. That's highly unlikely, considering that there are already 4 Zerglings on the map. So, you know, Nerchio gets the 2 hatches a little bit later than what most Zergs may usually, but at the end of the day, it's not too hefty of a cost, and Nerchio will be able to drone up behind this, and he'll be able to get his saturation going. Which is especially important, too, on a map like Daybreak, because Daybreak is such a big map, and you really want to get your hatcheries down very quickly, and you don't want to fall behind an economy to a Protoss player, simply because this is a map that tends to funnel the gameplay towards very long games. So, you know, it's a big map, lots of expansions, and it's very easy to get up to 4 or 5 bases that aren't very close to your opponent's strike points. So that's something that's very important to notice. I did just see double Chrono Boost here getting dropped down by MC. He had quite a bit of energy saved up for a second there. I thought, is he saving it for something? But it doesn't seem like it. He just dropped both of them on the Nexus. And one thing to really keep in mind here that, you know, it's important to note nowadays in Protoss versus Zerg, you see so much 2-base strategies. You see so much, really a lot of players just call it 2-base all-in, and it's very true, because if a Protoss doesn't go up to a 3rd base and tries to kill you with something like Dark Templar, or Warp Prism Mass Sentry in your base, Force Field the main ramp, and warp in their whole army, 7-gate, Blink Stalker +2, all in. These are the things that Protoss do against Zerg nowadays, and it's very, very hard to stop. So that's something that MC is actually very, very good at. He loves his 2-base all-ins, he loves to do those types of strategies, and it all kind of stems from when he originally loved the 4-gate so much. So that's something to kind of pay great attention to, and we'll see if MC decides to go for one of those strategies. He did actually go for a Stargate right away, and this is after the Cybernetics core, fast Stargate, but he hasn't thrown down a second one, so it's nothing that many Zerg players might consider, oh god, he's double Stargating me and I'm in so much trouble, or I need to prepare a lot of anti-air defenses. He is just going for one Stargate. He could be going for something like the Genius build, which is, I believe, I'm not too sure on the gateway count, but I think it's something like at least 6 Stargates plus, excuse me, plus 6 gateways plus Stargates. 6 Stargates would be like insanity. But yeah, I think it's something like a 6 gateway plus Stargate, which is very, very hard to hold off if you're Zerg as well. We'll see what he does. He is actually adding on a Twilight Council right now, and Zerglings beginning to chase. That's a lot of Zerglings coming out from Nerchio, and I believe he's just going for the max Roach strategy from what I can see. No lair yet. Interesting. He's actually saved up to 260 gas, and he has not started a lair yet. He might just be going purely Roach Speedling. And there we go, the lair finally starting. I can't fathom why you would wait on the lair for so long. He actually didn't start speed either. And not too sure why. Most Zergs would have started at around 7 minutes and 30 seconds at the latest. And so now he's starting to expend that gas away, and he's dropping it into the upgrades. But the lair and the speed do seem a bit later than what they would normally be. And that can be problematic because he will only have Queens and Spores as viable forms of anti-air against these Phoenixes, which were the first air unit MC decided to get out of his Stargate. You know, and that's a problem because usually most Zergs would want to get something like either Hydras or Infestors, and those will be delayed due to the later layer. A bit of a tongue twister there. Anyways, the Phoenix now is starting to come in, and there are Spore Crawlers starting to come up. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem for Nerchio to hold on to. He should have Queens coming out quite a bit as well, starting to make 3 Spore Crawlers right now. And the Phoenix just trying to find an avenue here where they can get inside and make something happen, but they're only going to be able to pick off Overlords. I don't think they're actually going to commit to actually trying to kill off drones here, because that can be very risky given, you know, you don't really know how many spores are up in there, and you don't want to get locked in with a Graviton Beam, and then the Phoenix is stuck and can't really move away. Well, it forces the energy, and then it's very hard to pull it away. So here we go. It looks like MC actually throwing down quite a bit of Warp Gates here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Warp Gates. And this is very similar to what Genius does. He's actually adding on a Dark Shrine as well. But, you know, it just goes to show that MC doesn't want to play a long-term game against Protoss, and that's totally fine. Many Protoss nowadays find it very difficult to play against Broodlord Infestor. So MC is going to try to end the game momentarily here. He hasn't grabbed a third yet, and he's got a Proxy Pylon over here at the high ground, so he's going to try to warp in units, but there are Roaches there, making it very difficult for the units to get inside. Zealots, meanwhile, charging up to the main, and they do, of course, have charge upgraded. That's the benefit of going for the quicker Twilight Council. Now Phoenix is coming in to add some air support to these Zealots, but there are so many Roaches on the ground that I don't think those Zealots will be able to do much. Now the Phoenix is refocusing their fire on Queens, and some Zealots trying to make their way over on the bottom side. But, you know, there's a lot of Roaches and Zerglings here, and overall, I think Nerchio is going to make a brilliant hold against the Phoenix and ground build from the MC. This is actually a great hold. And no problems from Nerchio. He held off the Zealots. Now, all Nerchio has to do is, I think, macro. I don't think he's done so much of a great defense that he can just counterattack with everything. You still have to be very wary of force fields, but what he can do, and what I would do, is actually just block off the third Nexus for as long as possible. Send all my Roaches and Zerglings and prevent the third from ever going down. Don't try to funnel your way up this ramp, and it looks like that's what he's doing. He's sending the Roaches and Zerglings over here now, and he knows if he can keep MC on 2 bases, and he's going to win this game. And now the Dark Templar have revealed themselves in the defensive effort. Roaches and Zerglings actually going to come over here and take out the sentries at the front door. No way those sentries are going to be able to hold on, and Nerchio really with a big victory here if he can kill off all the sentries. Looks like one will survive, but overall he's brought in an Overseer as well, and not even the Dark Shrine is going to be helpful for MC here, because in all honesty, what did they do? Nothing. And it's almost like the Bisu build here right now from the Protoss player, using almost like a Corsair DT style, using the Corsair / Phoenix to pick off the detective Overseers. Yes, they are Sherlock Holmes in disguise. And he's picking them off so that the Dark Templar don't get spotted. But you know, this is a very, very late DT Phoenix right now, and at this point the Zerg is on 4 bases, and Protoss still hasn't grabbed the third. So MC, even though it was kind of cute for a while to get the Phoenix and it was like, oh, maybe he'll be able to pick off all the Overseers, honestly, it's not going to work out for him. He needs to figure out a way to get in this game, but produce more standard units. I really don't know if this Phoenix Dark Templar style is going to work. I don't know, man. He's still kept the Phoenix alive at the very least, and he's trying to pick off whatever units he can, but there is a Nexus over here that he needs to keep alive right now, and that will require the Phoenixes to run back home, but the Nexus has to be canceled. Now, is there enough units here to actually run the Roaches away? It looks like there may be. That's quite a bit of Stalkers, and Nerchio is going to have to pull back. Doesn't really want to engage here. Not too sure what he's doing. Trying to stay around and maybe pick off the Dark Templar and the Zealots, but he's losing a lot more than he's expending here. Excuse me, losing a lot more than he's gaining, and now dropping Changelings. That was interesting. Maybe as a last-ditch resort, realizing that those Overseers were going to go down, and the Changelings also following suit as well. Now there's a Warp Prism beginning to make its way into the main base. This is going to make things very interesting. If MC can come back with this Warp Prism, then I don't know, we'll see, guys. A couple of Overseers also running down to the bottom left, but they cannot drop. Overseers actually de-evolve the ability to load units into their tanks when they go from an Overlord to an Overseer, and it looks like the Zealots here are probably going to get shut down. So Nerchio still looking very good in this game, ladies and gentlemen. I really think MC just kind of setting himself back in a big way, going for that you know, Stargate, Gateway style, trying to end the game on 2 bases and not being able to. And that's why it's really defined as an all-in by many players in the community. It's just, if you don't do enough damage, and we can obviously, MC has not, then it really sets the Protoss so far behind because they don't have that third Nexus. But having said that, MC hasn't given up yet. He has grabbed the third finally. And it looks like he's throwing up photon cannons and has enough of a sizable army here that he can make somewhat of a hold, especially since Nerchio is still on Roach Tech. So that's something that he can kind of go with. But there are Hydras coming out on the field now from Nerchio, and that's really smart. You know why Nerchio has gone Hydras here? Because he knows that MC has been on 2 bases for so long that Colossus switch is very, very hard to pull off right now, even though we do see a support bait coming at the moment. It is so hard to do that in this case, in this scenario, Hydras might actually work. Reason being is, there are some Zealots coming here, by the way. They are chopping up some Queens. Reason being that, hey, if there's no Colossus out there, then I can use Hydras to supplement my army, and all you've got is purely Gateways and a Stargate. And Hydras crush that as long as I've got Roaches in the front. So that was really smart thinking from Nerchio, and he certainly has a great timing window to hit before Colossus come out on the field. You know, we won't see a Colossus for another about minute, and it won't have it thermal lance for another 120 seconds. That's another 2 minutes. So those Hydras can be dangerously effective, but Nerchio's gonna want to use them before Colossus start ramping up, because he has this timing window, but that's the whole, you know, thing about a window. It will shut eventually. Someone shuts that window and the breeze will stop blowing. So Nerchio needs to take advantage of that as soon as he possibly can. And just taking a look at some of the other tabs here, 37 workers killed from MC. So MC has actually done a decent job with those Zealots, warping them in the main, getting some Zealots wherever he can, and doing some damage wherever possible. But he is still behind in this game. 154 supply to a maxed Zerg army. And all he has to do now is actually sit tight. If he can sit tight, get enough Colossus on the field, and get a maxed army of his own, he can stand toe-to-toe with Nerchio. Losing a couple of Phoenix here. Not what he wants to do. He needs to save those to Graviton the Infestors when the major battle happens. On the other side here, Nerchio needs to trade his army away. A, because he's got Hydras, and for the reasons I mentioned before, you don't want to keep Hydras in your army when the Colossus come. And B, he needs to make room for Brood Lords. So there we go. He's actually making room the old-fashioned way, trying to draw straws between the Roaches and figure out who has drawn the shortest one. But I actually think his best bet here is just a trade. If he slams everything into this army, and he comes from 2 different angles, not the mistake that many Zerg make, which is just send them down one corridor, he could actually do a decent bit of damage. Not too sure why he hasn't tried to yet. There are some Zealots coming in here through the backside, and we will see what this does. Phoenix is also coming in here, maybe trying to pick off a couple Infestors, and the main army comes through, and you know, MC is in a pretty decent position. All the units here can't really engage from 2 different angles. But the Colossus are starting to get picked up by Nerchio, who is focus firing them down. Very good job by Nerchio, and the Hydras just doing so much burst fire. Meanwhile, what will these Zealots do? In the background, chopping up the drones as they go along. 48 workers have been killed already from MC, so a decent job, and MC actually pulls away with most of his Stalkers intact. So, not a bad job right there at all by MC, who may have lost 2 Colossus, yes, but he did considerable worker damage, considerable economic damage has been done to the Zerg player, and now all he has to do is fall back and maintain this 4th base. Can he do it though? Because Nerchio is threatening to attack here, and he's still got Hydras in his army, so that is a very, very scary Zerg army indeed, as long as the Colossus count remains low. But, you know, all in all, I actually think that MC has been able to kind of claw himself back into this game a little bit. He has secured a 4th base. It is a very close worker count right now. And MC, man, he is the master of disaster. He could actually pull off this comeback if he can get some more Colossus in his army. Maybe mix in a mothership at some point, because we do have Broodlords on the way. And, you know, every Protoss knows now that the best way to counter a mothership is through, the best way to counter Broodlords is through a mothership. So, it would be a pretty good idea, I think, for him to go ahead and get that. For now, though, he doesn't have a fleet beacon coming up as far as I can see. And on the other side of the map right now, Nerchio still has a decent Zerg army. I would like to see more infestors on his ball, actually, because right now, let's see, he's actually trying to destroy off, oh, what was that, a pylon or war prism or something. He needs a few more infestors. He's only got 3 infestors and 5 Broodlords, and majority roaches and Zerglings. So now realizing, hey, I need more capacity, because I have these Hydras which take up a lot of space, so I'm going to go ahead and throw away some drones for crawlers to make room, I'm supposing, for more Broodlords or infestors, and that's why he just made 2 Corruptors. But this is considerably a close game right now. MC has pulled it back, man. It's a 4-base Protoss to a 5-base Zerg. And both players haven't really stockpiled all that much money, although they are pretty much maxed. So, you know, at any point here, war is going to break out, and I gotta say, man, I think MC's armor might just be a little bit better. We'll have to see. He's coming in here now. Oh, what a fungal, though! And that's what it's going to come down. If Nerchio can get some money fungals here, then that can turn the tables all in his favor, starting to rain down the Broodlings from the Broodlords, and he's got a lot of Broodlords here. Festers using their fungal growths as well. Protoss coming in with the Stalkers, but the force fields aren't the best, not really chopping up the Zerg army, and now MC has to pull back his Colossus, just running into the wrong position, into the crawlers, into a great Zerg concave, and now having to pull back. But in the meantime, in the bottom right hand corner, we do have Zealots coming around the bottom side, but there are 3 crawlers there, and that's going to make it so hard for MC to exact any economy damage, and now he's losing his final Colossus, trying to pull it down. Shields are depleted, Broodlings chasing it down, and MC brings it back home safely. That's very important. You got to keep every Colossus alive here, especially when you only got 1 left on the map. That's what's going to help you roast and toast those Hydras, but this is absolutely insane. 126 supply now to 176. I don't think MC is in any position to make an offensive strike. And what a beautiful warp in right there, but it actually didn't cut off the Zerglings, so a couple of Zerglings are going to flood in and burrow themselves down. But, you know, I really don't think MC is in any position to be offensive right now. He needs to once again sit back and try to macro up his army. Likewise, you know, Nerchio approaching max here may have an opportunity to go in there and make something happen. These Hydras, by the way, have been absolutely heroic. They have a bunch of kills on themselves. They've been doing a great job damaging from the back and staying alive. And, yeah, man, this is looking pretty good for Nerchio, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, guys, he is one of the better Zergs out there. Many consider to be second best Zerg behind Stefano in Europe. And so he is definitely possible of taking a game away from MC here. MC just, I think, setting himself so far back with the 2-base strategy, not really working out to his favor, having to play catch-up all game, and almost made a game out of it, but at this point, he's only got Colossus and Stalkers, and not really that many Colossus at all. His upgrade's actually not doing too bad, 2-3, Nerchio at 2-0, so that's one thing I guess that's going decently for MC. He's got a lot of upgrades. He's actually preparing to send in a Hitman squad over to the bottom right here, and that can look to do some pretty good damage, but there is 3 crawlers and a spore there, so we'll just have to see what happens. And now, Nerchio beginning to move his army up. He's actually incorporated Bane Banelings into his army as well. They are speedless Banes, so Force Fields can shut that down. I wonder why he decided to throw in a couple of speedless Banes. It's not like he has Overlord Drop or anything. And now MC coming through the bottom, or through the middle, excuse me, as a maxed out Protoss army. But he really doesn't have any way to deal with the Brute Lords unless he wants to blink everything forward and risk losing the Stalkers to all the Roaches, Hydras, and whatever units are down below. So I don't think MC is in a position to be offensive here. He blinks forward into the Crawlers and Banelings and Fungals, and I don't know if I agree with that. He only picked off 2 or 3 Brute Lords there for about a third of his Stalkers. He needs to be way more careful than that, and I really think Nerchio is just going to be able to crush this army. The Fungals now can chain lock down the Colossus. You can't retreat from fungal growth, and now losing almost every single one, only 1 remaining, and I really don't know if I agree with MC attacking there. I think MC in that situation just maybe getting a case of the you know, the trigger finger and going in when he didn't really need to. He did actually send the DTs down to the bottom right, it seems like, and I don't know how many workers he got. 77 workers killed, my god, good lord. But does it matter? His main army is going to get crushed by the Roaches, the Zerglings, the Hydras, the Infestors, the Brood Lords. And this one should be over, ladies and gentlemen. GG calls MC. And, you know, just looking back at this game, I really think MC would have been in a much better shape if he just stayed back, made some room for a mothership, incorporated the mothership in, and then he has a way to deal with the Brood Lords. You know, he can get the mothership out, maybe get some Archons, obviously, for the Archon Toilet Bowl. That, I think, would have been a much better decision than to just blatantly attack into the waiting hands of Crawlers and whatnot. And I just want to go ahead and, you know, while I'm talking, look at what happened down here, because I did miss it. It seems like we had some DTs just running in through the bottom right. But, yeah, I think MC would have been much better served playing a more conservative style there. And I guess that just goes to say that when you start off with a very aggressive style, it's hard to get your foot off the gas. You know, when you're already consuming, I don't know, like 50 gallons per mile that you go, you know, you're not gonna suddenly go into eco mode. You're gonna play very aggressively, and MC is kind of the aggressive player. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the cast, and that is game 1 of this best of 5. Nerchio taking the first one, but MC is by no means out of it. This was an incredible, almost comeback by MC. And we will just have to see what happens in Game 2. This is your broadcaster HD, and I am signing out.